Want to travel light and take everything you need for a 2-week European vacation in just your carry-on luggage? I'll show you how I did it in today's video. Hi, I'm Robin and this is Faith and Flower. If you clicked on this video curious to see how I fit everything for a ski vacation in one piece of carry-on luggage, I'm sorry to disappoint, but I will show you how I packed everything I needed for a 2-week trip to Europe in the late winter, early spring in just my carry-on luggage minus the ski gear. If you are going skiing, you will probably need to check at least one bag for your ski pants, hats, gloves, helmets, all the gear, even if you rent your equipment, which is what we did. My husband's family lives in Switzerland, so we've had lots of practice with learning how to pack light, but there's only so much you can do with such bulky items. I think you'll still find value in this video, especially if your trip doesn't involve skiing. You can definitely travel light to skip baggage claim, and I will show you how. I also have several other videos you might want to watch for more tips for packing in just a carry-on, which I will have linked for you down in the description box. And I will have some vacation highlights for you at the end of the video, so if you're interested in that, make sure you watch until the end. These are all of the items that I took on my trip, and I was able to fit them all within my carry-on luggage. All of the luggage that I used is from Calpac, and so were these packing cubes. I am a big fan of packing cubes. I like the way I can keep everything corralled and organized on my trip. I packed a bathing suit, which I didn't actually even use, a pair of pajamas, and a pair of sort of Thinsulate thermal long underwear that I could layer under my clothing and I used while skiing. I always pack a swimsuit when I go on vacation, even though I don't use it all of the time, especially when we go to Switzerland, because sometimes we have the opportunity to go to one of the thermal baths or something like that, and I don't want to be caught without a swimsuit. So that fits easily along with my pajamas and the thermal underwear within one of these packing cubes. And in the other packing cube, I packed all of my socks and underwear, bras, and a couple of camisoles, again, which I use for layering. It helps me to stretch out my outfits a little bit. So I had about 6 pairs of socks in this bag, and I took one extra pair, which I will show you in another bag that I used, my carry-on personal item. So that is 1 week's worth of socks and underwear, but I am always able to wash once when we go on vacation. Of course, it's easy if we're staying with family, but almost all hotels offer a laundering service, and I find that it's really worth it, and I usually just wind up washing the socks and underwear. All of the rest of the clothes can be worn 2 or even 3 times in most cases. I packed 3 blouses and 3 sweaters for tops. So I like to choose blouses that are made of a fabric that doesn't wrinkle easily for obvious reasons when traveling. And for sweaters, I really like to use cashmere or merino wool. And that's because they are extremely thin yet very warm. And I'm able to coordinate these items together. I can layer the sweaters over the blouses, or the blouses can be worn alone, or the sweaters can be worn alone. So I can create a lot of different outfits, and that will get me through 2 weeks with no problem. I packed just 2 pairs of pants. I have a pair of jeans and a pair of dress black pants. Jeans are great and can be worn for most occasions, but a pair of black pants like this were really nice to have. They're lined, so they're very warm, and they take the place of a dress, which I didn't want to pack because that would mean I needed to pack an additional coat, because a ski jacket wouldn't look great with a dress, but looks okay with a pair of dress pants. And I also packed this small pouch filled with non-liquid toiletry items and a few scarves to vary up my outfits. They take up very little space, and I chose to do that instead of bringing a lot of jewelry. I packed 2 pairs of shoes, a pair of black flats, and a pair of waterproof ankle boots. Now I'll show you how I fit all of this into my carry-on suitcase. For this trip, we flew United Airlines from Austin to Chicago to Frankfurt to Geneva. And I never had any trouble with the carry-on luggage that I took. It was never weighed. It just needs to fit the size requirement, which is about 20 inches, and it fits no problem in the overhead compartment. And the other piece of personal luggage that I'm bringing, which I'll show you in a few minutes, fits right underneath my seat. I've never been stopped or questioned by the flight attendants. That said, make sure that you know your airline's policy on carry-on luggage so that you're not surprised when you arrive at the airport. As you can see, I also brought a belt, and I find that there are little nooks and crannies in the corners and on the side where you can tuck all sorts of things, so make sure you utilize every little bit of space in your carry-on luggage. I also like using the zippered compartments for things like these scarves that don't take up a lot of space, and it helped to keep them wrinkle-free throughout my whole trip. I like to put my shoes on the side of the luggage that contains the pull-out handle. You can see it makes some grooves in there, and I can really make my shoes fit in those spaces and maximize that area. I also like to make sure that they are contained in some sort of bag. It keeps the shoes from getting scuffed up, and it also keeps my suitcase and any other items that I'm packing next to them clean. Also, as you can see, I'm packing my boots in separate bags because it makes it a lot easier to pack when I can separate them. And for smaller pairs of shoes like the flats that I'm bringing, I can sort of nest them inside of each other and put them in their own bag. And I'll show you how I figured out how to slide them in between. It's sort of like playing a game of Tetris when you're packing. There's usually a combination that will fit everything you need, and you just have to play around with it a little bit. I also find it helpful to pack anything heavy like shoes towards the bottom of the suitcase on the wheel side so that your bag doesn't become top heavy and tip over. So here you can see I've got the shoes towards the bottom, and that leaves room for a packing cube on top. And then I fill in the extra space with the rest of my clothes on top of the shoes. I always use the elastic straps to keep everything contained, and then I make sure that all clothing is tucked in well on the side so that I can zip it closed easily. This suitcase has an outside compartment where I like to keep my laptop and other electronics. On this trip, I was not asked to remove my laptop, which was really nice when I went through security. I'm not sure if other airports are asking you to do that, but if so, this makes it super convenient. But also there are several other pockets in here that you can use for personal items to keep things like passports, wallets, keys, and things like that organized, and allows you easy access. With United Airlines and most others that I've ever flown to Europe will allow you one carry-on piece of luggage and one personal item, so these are all of the things that I packed in my personal item. I like to contain my brushes and combs in a little pouch like this, and I find that those are the only hairstyling tools that I need. I can always borrow a blow dryer if I'm staying with family, and I've always had access to one in every hotel I've ever stayed in. For my personal item, I'm using the CalPack Hue duffel bag. I like that it has so many compartments where I can organize everything. So I'm putting my wallet in one of the interior pockets and a little jewelry pouch in the other. And I will have as many things linked down in the description box as possible that I used for this trip in case you're planning one of your own and you're looking for any of these items. So there's also a very nicely padded pocket for a laptop within this duffel bag, but because I'm using my carry-on case for that, I'm going to stow my e-reader in there. I like to tuck my brushes down at the bottom and things that I don't really need access to on my flight, like some moist towelettes for removing makeup. I also found these great pill cases on Amazon, and I will link those for you because they were great for carrying supplements and prescription medication. my calcium gummies, and I also put a pair of socks that I'm going to use for skiing in my carry-on bag, along with the fleece that I'm going to use for skiing, because I thought they would be nice to have along for the flight in case I get cold. This fleece was one that I found from Land's End, and I will link it below. I love it because it was super thin but extremely warm. I wanted to have a small crossbody bag for my trip, so I tucked that in as well. I didn't pack anything inside of it to keep it as flat as possible. And I had a pouch for my makeup and also my liquids bag. And I've always kept my liquid bag in just a regular Ziploc bag, but I found this one on Amazon and I loved it so much more for this trip. You can fit a lot more in it, and it was really easy to use on my trip because it was see-through. It didn't break like a Ziploc often will. This large waterproof pouch is part of the packing cube set from Calpac, and I love it for putting all of my electronic items. I've got all my charging cords, my camera and backup drive in there, and everything fits nicely inside this duffel bag. It's got an outside zip pocket, which is great for storing things that you want to have easy access to. And I love that it comes with this padded strap so that I can carry it on my shoulder when it's not riding on top of my luggage. This bag has a lot of nice features, like a snap on each side, which allows the bag to expand if you need it to, especially if you want to bring home some Swiss chocolate or some other small souvenirs. In addition to everything I packed, of course, I had an outfit that I wore on travel day. So I choose my bulkiest outfit to wear on travel day because I won't have to worry about packing it. Because we would be doing hiking and sometimes in the snow, I definitely needed my hiking boots and of course my ski jacket, which I was really grateful to have along for the flight. I didn't put it in the overhead bin. I actually kept it on my lap and used it as a blanket during the flight. I hope this video will give you some ideas for how to pack light for a European vacation. You can definitely do it 2 weeks with just a carry-on, unless of course you're skiing. If you found it helpful, be sure to give me a thumbs up and be sure to share your packing tips down in the comment section. And now I'll end with some of the highlights of our trip. I hope you have a wonderful week and I'll see you next Sunday.